Alright, hello class, welcome to my presentation. Just to let you know, it's not letting me, any of these like screen recorder apps aren't letting me record the presentation in slideshow format, so I'm just going to be recording it in the edited form. So my presentation is going to be on the effects of plyometric training and creatine supplementation on maximal intensity exercise and endurance in female soccer players. So, as an introduction, over the course of a 90-minute soccer game, players perform high-intensity or maximal intensity bouts of exercise, including jumping, kicking, accelerating, decelerating, and changing direction. These repeated maximal intensity bouts may be associated with endurance or your aerobic capacity, but it can also be associated with the creatine phosphate or phosphocreatine energy system, which is a highly important energy source for maximal intensity actions, and it's also our immediate energy. It's also part of our immediate energy systems. Investigating how single and repeated maximal intensity bouts alongside endurance and how it can be improved in female soccer players is important for them. So, plyometric training may increase maximal intensity bouts and endurance. Research has been done on acute creatine intake. This was over 1 week. This was a 1-week intervention, and it showed that it could increase maximal intensity actions, but had no effect on repeated sprintability in a match simulation. This suggests that maybe in a longer-term intervention, creatine supplementation may be more beneficial for performance. It remains unknown if creatine and plyometric training together will have similar results or even increase the results compared to plyometrics alone. The purpose of the study is just to observe the effects of a 6-week plyometric training and creatine supplementation intervention on maximal intensity and endurance performance in female soccer players. Here's the methods. An overview of this experiment is that there's going to be 33 amateur soccer players between the ages of 19 and 28, and they're going to be split into 3 groups. The placebo, each group is actually going to be a sample size of 10. So the placebo group is going to be a plyometric training, and they're only going to be receiving the glucose placebo. The creatine group is going to be a plyometric group with creatine supplementation, and the control group is going to be receiving placebo without plyometric training. So they're pretty much doing the same thing they were doing before. So with the placebo and creatine groups, they're going to be doing the same type of plyometric training. They're going to be performing exercises as part of their warm-up or to replace some soccer drills. Unilateral and bilateral horizontal and vertical jumps with both cyclic and acyclic arm swings are the plyometrics they're going to be performing. So they're going to be aiming for maximal height and distance for the acyclic jumps and minimal ground contact times for the cyclic jumps, so they can work on their reactive strength. If you don't know what reactive strength is, it's pretty much how fast you can go from that eccentric to that concentric. So just like, think of like a rubber band, you're going to want to go to that eccentric. So it's going to be that eccentric lengthening, and then that contraction, or that concentric shortening. So you just want to get from the eccentric to the concentric as fast as you possibly can. So with the creatine groups, the participants, they're going to be taking 20 grams of creatine monohydrate, the GNC Pro Performance, and it's going to be split into 4 equal doses for the first week. These doses are going to be split between the breakfast, lunch, dinner, and before bedtime during that first week. After that, for the following 5 weeks, they're only going to be having single daily doses of 5 grams during lunch. So the placebo and control groups, they're only going to be receiving the glucose placebo, and it's going to be for the same dosages for both. So results, suggests that the replacement of some soccer drills with plyometric training is an effective training strategy for increasing maximal intensity and endurance performance in female soccer players. Also, results have shown that creatine supplementation during plyometric training may further increase those same qualities. Considering that neither group's dietary intake changed over the course of the experiment, so their macronutrients haven't changed and their caloric intakes haven't changed, the 1.4% the creatine group showed to have like an average 1.4% increase of body mass and BMI. This could be because of the acute effects of creatine supplementation, such as possibly water retention. Creatine has also shown to increase the cross-sectional area of both type 1 and type 2 muscle fibers and have an effect on the myogenic regulatory factors, which is pretty much just the regulation of the formation of muscle. However, this may be hard to see with the female players because it's just going to be over a short-term intervention. So both plyometric groups showed improvement in their sprint performances, change of direction speed, and endurance at the end of the intervention. But there was no changes that were observed in the control group practically because they were just doing the same thing. Although both plyometric groups increased their sprint performances, their change of direction speed, and their endurance, only the creatine group showed improvement in their peak jump power load, their reactive strength, and their squat jump. This may be due to smaller decays in drill intensities during training and reduced time to recover after training. The RAS mean sprint times improved for both plyometric groups. So a RAS sprint is pretty much they're going to be sprinting for 35 meters. They're going to rest for 10 seconds, maybe doing a little jog around, and then they're going to come back sprinting for another 35 meters, and they're going to be doing that for multiple sets and reps. So compared to the placebo group, the creatine group showed greater improvement in these times. This is possibly due to the phosphocreatine resynthesis rates being much faster during recovery between RAS sprints. So for female soccer players, replacement of some low-intensity soccer drills with max-intensity plyometrics during the end season as a short-term plyometric training intervention induced higher maximal intensity and endurance performances improvements compared to soccer training alone. Those same improvements were further enhanced by creatine supplementation. So just to sum that up, creatine supplementation may be able to be used as an ergogenic aid while training plyometrics for female soccer players. Personally, I believe another way to add on to this study is to possibly survey how the athletes felt during and after games using the rate of perceived exertion, or RPE, or if they felt in better shape this season than in prior seasons. A study on another sport like basketball that is very anaerobic dominant, so they're going to be going through that phosphocreatine depletion a lot faster than maybe a sport like soccer that's a little bit more aerobic, will be able to really show the benefits of creatine supplementation. Alright, thank you class. That was my presentation.